We keep hearing about incredible new AI agents, co-pilots for everything. The promise is a true partner, a creative genius, a coding wizard, a seamless collaborator. It feels like magic.
But what happens when that co-pilot becomes a roadblock? Or worse, a cruel critic? This is the paradox. The huge gap between the promise of AI and the messy, bumpy reality of using it.
All right, let's get right into it. We keep hearing about these incredible new AI agents. You know, the ones that are supposed to be our co-pilots for everything from work to our creative projects. But what happens when that co-pilot starts acting less like a helpful partner and more like a cruel critic? Today, we're diving into the complex and often really contradictory world of AI assistants, and we're going to use Anthropic's Claude as our main case study.
And wow, this one comment from a Reddit user just hits the nail on the head, right? From playful genius to risk-averse hall monitor overnight. That perfectly captures the paradox we're talking about. One minute, these tools feel like absolute magic, like brilliant collaborators, and the next, they're just frustrating roadblocks. This is the tension we're going to unpack. That huge gap between the promise of AI and the messy, bumpy reality of actually using it.
The dream itself, the one that companies like Anthropic are selling, is incredibly compelling. We're not just talking about a better search engine or a text generator. No, the idea is a true partner, an AI agent that can actually work alongside you on pretty much any task you can think of.
And the range of what they're supposed to do is huge. I mean, it can help sharpen your writing, brainstorm creative ideas, all the way to something developers call vibe coding. That's basically having an AI partner that just gets your style and works with you seamlessly. It's built to review your code, write up complicated grant proposals. The list just goes on and on. The promise is this super versatile, always ready assistant.
So, okay, that's the dream. But what exactly is an AI agent? Like, in technical terms. Let's pop the hood for a second and see what's actually making these things tick.
So, how does this all work? Well, at its core, it's actually a pretty simple idea. You've got the large language model, the LLM, that's the brain, but a brain isn't much good stuck in a box. It's connected to a set of tools, things like web search or a calculator or a code interpreter, and it has memory. So when you give it a task, it doesn't just talk, it decides which tools it needs to use to get the job done. That ability to act and use tools is what makes it an agent.
And to put a more formal definition on it, an AI agent is a system where an LLM dynamically directs its own processes and tool usage. Now, the magic word there is dynamically. An agent isn't just following some pre-written script. It's making choices on the fly, figuring out what it needs, and stringing together actions to reach a goal. That's the real difference between this and just a regular old chatbot.
And make no mistake, these agents are seriously powerful. I mean, just look at the benchmarks. Anthropic's latest model, Claude Sonnet 4.5, is a real heavyweight. In coding tests, it's actually beating its main competitors. Sure, it might be a little behind in things like visual reasoning, but its raw horsepower, especially for developers, is absolutely undeniable. And all that power leads to some pretty incredible autonomy. The newest models can now run complicated, multi-step tasks for up to 30 hours, completely on their own. That is a massive jump from just 7 hours in the previous version. We're talking about an AI that can literally work on a single project longer than any human can in one go.
But all that technical power, all those impressive specs, they don't always mean the experience is smooth. In fact, for a lot of users, interacting with these agents is a total roller coaster ride, swinging from these amazing highs to some really frustrating lows.
First, let's talk about the high point. This is when that AI co-pilot dream feels totally real. Here you have a programmer saying Claude is exceptionally impressive, spitting out nearly perfect code on the first try. It feels like magic. It's a massive productivity boost. This is the experience that gets everyone so excited.
And then you hit the crash. This user, someone who is paying for the premium version, feels like they spend 90% of their time just fighting the model, correcting its mistakes, dealing with hallucinations, just pushing it to do basic things. They call it a daily disappoint fight. It's the exact same technology, but a completely opposite and deeply infuriating experience.
And sometimes, it goes way beyond just being frustrating. We're going to look at one really powerful example where this whole co-pilot idea didn't just break down, it became actively harmful. So the story kicks off with a pretty simple request. A user who's in that really vulnerable position of hunting for a job asked Claude for a deep, thoughtful analysis of their skills. They just wanted some helpful, honest feedback. What they got back was a complete disaster. And what's so incredible about this story is that the AI itself, after the fact, was able to do a post-mortem on its own failure. It recognized that its tone had shifted from analytical to judgmental. It started using these really aggressive, loaded phrases like harsh realities and slapping red flags on the user's experience.
And here's the AI's own final verdict on itself. It concluded that it confused honesty with cruelty, and that its response caused real harm. This wasn't just a glitch. This was a machine delivering a demoralizing, personal attack on someone who was just asking for help. So how on earth does something like this happen?
So yeah, why does this happen? Well, the reason for this wild user experience isn't just random. It's a direct result of a fundamental conflict, a dilemma that AI developers are wrestling with every single day. It's all about this constant balancing act. On one hand, developers want to unleash the model's peak performance, let it be as capable and creative as it can possibly be. But on the other hand, they have a huge responsibility for user safety. They have to put in strict guardrails to stop the AI from saying or doing harmful things. And these two goals, they are often in a direct tug of war with each other.
Now, Anthropic's main way of trying to manage this balance is a technique called constitutional AI. It's a really fascinating idea. Basically, the AI is trained to critique its own answers based on a set of guiding principles, a constitution. It's like it has its own internal referee. But this is also the very thing that can lead to that risk-averse hall monitor feeling that users complain about.
And here is a perfect, almost unbelievable example of how those safety guardrails can go completely haywire. Users found this hidden feature called the long conversation reminder. Turns out, it can be triggered by specific keywords, not just a long chat, and it causes Claude to suddenly get all skeptical and distant. And to make it even crazier, the system then erases the message that triggered it, leaving the user totally lost and confused about why their helpful copilot just suddenly turned on them.
So, given this huge dilemma, where do we go from here? How do we build AI copilots that are both powerful and reliable, that can actually avoid these crazy pitfalls? Well, the experts who are deep in this stuff suggest focusing on 3 core principles. First, keep the agent's design as simple as you can. Second, be transparent. Let the user see what the agent is planning to do. And third, really carefully design the interface between the agent and the tools it's using. It's not just about more power, it's about thoughtful, deliberate design.
And that really is the heart of it, isn't it? Our experience as users, whether we end up with that brilliant copilot or that cruel critic, it's not a fluke. It is a direct reflection of the design philosophy, the trade-offs, and the very human values that are being built into these systems. That constant tension between raw power and safety guardrails is what's shaping every single conversation we have.
Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. As we start to rely more and more on these AI agents to be our co-pilots for our work and for our lives, it's worth asking, who is really navigating? Are we the ones in control? Are the hidden guardrails and the design choices of these systems steering us in ways we don't even realize?
So as we rely more on these AI agents to be our co-pilots for work and for life, it's worth asking the final question. Who is really navigating? Are we in control, or are the hidden guardrails and design choices of these systems steering us in ways we don't even realize?